Hello again, most excellent time traveller. Welcome back to the Night Wolf Den and to my time loop here in the 1980s. I've got some more belter things from the 80s to show you today. So, without further ado, let's get ride. So the first of the Mega 80s haul for you today is on the same theme as last time that I put the transmission broadcast out to you, which was, if you remember, Invasion USA by Chuck Norris. And I did enjoy that film. It's pretty brutal in parts, but the explosion sounded excellent on the Bang & Olufsen. So I will definitely watch that again. And it was good to see Chuck very calm in chaotic places. But it goes on the same theme as the VHS, except this time it is a horror film. And the horror film from 1982, so 4 years ago, is The Rats. Is this one you've seen? Have you seen The Rats? It's the same director who did Enter the Dragon. And one thing I love about the VHS is the little phrases they have on them. So obviously the horror ones, they're quite prominent on the horror ones. There are in other ones as well, obviously. But certainly the horrors, they're on there. And this one for The Rats, with the sentence on there, the phrasing is, I'll do my best with it. Tonight they will rise from the darkness beneath the cities to feed. Which sounds interesting. What they're feeding on. Takeaways? And if you believe the back, the greatest single threat to the continued existence of man on this planet. The rats. Well, woman seems to be alright there, because it just says man. This is the dramatic and terrifying story of how one of the world's greatest cities became the first bloody battleground in man's fight for survival against the deadly force of evil, the rats. To be fair, they just want feeding, really. They're just hungry guys. I think rats get a bit of a bad rap. Or rat. Is a pun. This film is actually based on a 1974 novel, but obviously being the film, they've ramped up the gore and all the subway mayhem which is going on in there. I love that with the fence as well and the eyes there. It's a really cool cover, that. Really good. So I've got that. That's my watch for tonight. So I will get back to you on the next transmission to see how I enjoyed this one. But it's out in 1982, and basically there's a kind of health inspector and it's a teacher who are battling the outbreak. So it's classic man versus nature, gone totally wrong because these things are moving. One thing, what I do know about this is, even though they're massive rats, apparently. No, in fact, I won't spoil it. Oh, should I spoil it? No. Like how they get the rats to do that. I'll leave it at that, so it doesn't spoil it when you watch it. Of course, it's an 18 rating. And because this actual packaging is from 2 years' time, obviously I'm in 1986 here, the original one won't have had the rating on it. It will have been a pre-cert, so obviously before all the certifications came in for it. Apparently one thing about this film, believe it or not, is that here in the 80s and especially in the 70s, there was an absolute fear of rats. And actually, the original novel by Herbert, it was a real bestseller in the UK. So like how Jaws freaked people out going in the water, apparently this one has freaked people out about rats. So there's a little fact snippet about that one. But yeah, that's my watch for tonight. We'll see how we get on with that. The Rats. Poor fellas. And still on the theme of videos, no doubt you've seen this one, no doubt you know this one. Whether you love it is a different matter. This is, of course, the Three Amigos. The director of this one also directed Animal House and actually the Thriller video. And obviously it's full of comedy. It's absolutely legendary for comedy, really. Oh, I think so. I don't know what the rest of the world thinks or what the rest of the world in your timeline thinks, but it is something which is excellent. The film itself is released this year, actually, in 1986, but it's in December, so there's another few months away yet. But obviously, me being in a time loop, and the time loop keeps coming back round, I got this on a previous time loop. So 1986 is when this comes out, and of course, to the watching world, and if you'll know the names if you've seen it, Steve Martin's Lucky Day, Chevy Chase's Dusty Bottoms, and Martin Short is Nederlander, that was it, wasn't it? So funny, this film. I've watched it many times when, before my time loop started, when I was, prior to being locked in a time loop of the 1980s. And I'd watch it many, many times. So it's always funny, always great. And I remember I think we had to take, one time in school, we were allowed to bring in a video, I think. And I think this was my one I was allowed to bring in. Oh, I definitely brought in Breakdance the movie, which is, I love that one. I might have brought this in as well, or this might have been a good friend of mine, back when we were little. So it's such a great film. And of course it's PG rated, so it's all friendly, not family friendly. And with this one, it was so big at the box office, and what will happen this year when it comes out is people will see that it actually grosses like $39 million at the box office, which is absolutely a smash hit here in the 80s. And of course all the outfits where they look totally stupid in them, or glitteringly smart. And Steve Martin was actually one of the writers in this, and Randy Newman as well, who provided some of the songs for it. And one of the funny parts of it is the invisible horse. I mean, there's lots of funny parts in it. They're just all the little all the little faces they do. Chevy Chase and Steve Martin, especially, I love those two. And Martin Short, brilliant. He's excellent as well in it. So it's so funny. 100% recommend that. If you haven't seen it, I would imagine you've seen it, because you're receiving this transmission, so you are absolutely tuned into the 80s. And now for a few mega games, and I'm talking mega games. I absolutely love these games on the arcades especially, but this is on the mega beast of a system, which is of course, Commodore 64, which has an absolute sea of games for it. And the game is Power Drift. Now this beauty comes out in 1988, and I always see this as really building on the perks of Outrun. And obviously this is it's the first big kart style racer, and it has, like Outrun, it has like the scaling sprites, and it really gives that 3D feel, which, especially when it's in the arcades, it just feels like, wow, like what is this? And this Commodore version of it is the version that you can get in your house, unless you've got the Power Drift arcade machine was using Mega. And Power Drift, if you didn't know, is built by Yu Suzuki, who did obviously Outrun. Phenomenal game. So you can see the similarities when playing, like the kind of angle of it, and it's kind of souped up because of the big wheels and in the cart and stuff. And especially on the arcade, like I said, I love it. Especially if you've been on the premium version, the deluxe, which actually sort of rocks side to side when you're racing. It really is an experience. So this is the game you can have in your house on your Commodore 64, and you can choose your driver and buggy, and it's quite a brutal difficulty on it, but it really is quite addictive on it as well. And it's got 12 tracks. You can choose 12 tracks on this, and it's got massive jumps, and it's got loops, and it's got the seaside and sky views on it, which are very cool. And there's actually the aerial flyby attract mode, which here in 1986, or certainly in 1988 when this comes out, is huge. Like anything like that. I'm sure in the future, in your timeline, if someone sees some of these games, they might feel that you're still quite primitive, because that's what it's like here in the 80s. But any little advances here are actually massive here. So yeah, it's a big favourite of mine, Power Drift. Really, really good. And it's not long to wait for the arcade, which comes out in 1988, and then 1989 is when this comes out on the Commodore 64. So a few years yet to wait, but in my previous time loop, I can see all these cool things earlier. Or I guess as what people see them, but obviously on the next time loop, it's slightly different. But, very cool. Power Drift. Speaking of Yu Suzuki, the original arcade, we're on to another game. And the original arcade version of this next game was 1989. That is the incredible Turbo Outrun. I love Turbo Outrun, I love Outrun. Both of them are excellent. If you feel like a bit more of a cruise, that's the original Outrun. Whereas if you like all the wind and the rain, it's got a more of a quirkier, should we say? Maybe a quirkier vibe with all the rain and the bumps and the barriers and things you go through. And as it says here, Turbo Outrun takes you on a 16-stage race across America. Along the way, you will battle bumper to bumper with good guys and bad guys, police, cars, Porsches, and blown engines. Numerous scenes will take you through congested city streets, over snow and icy mountain passes, and across sun-baked deserts. Drive daytime and nighttime. Go for manual or automatic. Gearbox selection. Even customize, and this is it, your Ferrari F40. Fantastic. Surely everyone loves the F40. I mean, what a cover. I absolutely love that cover. Brilliant. And whereas the arcade is fantastic, on the arcade is you can sit in it when that comes out, and it's got like it's like a little container thing you sit in, and there's a little roof over it, and you get to have that in the house on here. Now there is a free poster. I don't know if I've got the free poster here. No, but there's other very cool games that you can get. Is that the poster? Oh, it is the poster. Even better. I didn't realise this was in. Shall I frame this? I think I might, you know. Oh, it is there. I didn't realise this was in. I think that's getting a frame. 100% that's getting a frame. That's a poster. You know. I know some people like to have these left in the collections, but yeah, that's not me. That's going in a frame. And like with Power Drift, there's high-speed scaling graphics. So especially, you know, when the car flips and things like this, and you've got that kind of scaling effect, which is huge here in the 80s. And again, Yu Suzuki, really, I mean, what a genius guy to be making this type of stuff. And these are like classic hits already, which I'm sure they still are in your timeline as well. And I know the tagline, driving's biggest game ever, just got bigger. So of course they mean the original Outrun, and the kit, of course, it's the legend, which is Sega. So many good games on Sega. And of course, this being the Commodore 64 version, there are limits from the glorious arcade machine, of which I'll be showing you some more arcade goodness of Turbo Outrun in the upcoming transmissions. But they have captured the spirit of it, and that's the main thing here. They can't match it like for like with the arcade. It's not going to happen with the hardware limitations. But the feel of it is there, and that's the main thing. And like with Power Drift, it's joystick only. And there's one thing to be noted as well on Turbo Outrun, is the music. The music is absolutely class. Absolutely class. You just know when those tunes start up. It's Outrun, you're ready to race, and it's just brilliant. Turbo Outrun is mega, and it's on the Commodore 64. Tremendous. And now, this is great. We'll leave it at that for now. This is the great Philips Discoverer Space Helmet TV, 14-inch, 1983. What a TV this is. However, I've got my hands on one of these. I was so pleased when I've got it. Obviously it doesn't have the lid on, which is a really big shame. So I plugged it in. I was told it wasn't working, which is fair enough. However, I know a repair guy who does rad repairs to cool ladies things. So he's had a look. Unfortunately, it's all corroded inside. So I think it's permanently out of action. So I can either do some donor swapping inside. I could strip everything out and make this available for people who also need this. The shell. The tube should be good, even if the board and things aren't. But what a TV this is, and this is a limited edition from Philips in 1983, 3 years ago, and it's celebrating NASA's space shuttle era, so hence the big space helmet, and it just looks absolutely sensational, and it's a lot big. Even though it's a 14-inch TV, it really has got a lot of size, and if you see that with it actually with the helmet on, it's quite a big unit. Just say it's only got a 14-inch TV, but obviously the CRT, I don't know what you have in the future. You might just have windows, panes of glass, like super thin with images on, I don't know. But here in the 80s, we have a CRT TVs, and this was actually commissioned for the first shuttle launch back in 1981. Obviously out in 1983, and already this is amazing. And I'm sure that in your time period, I'd like to think that these are still seen as amazing TVs. They're not that heavy for a CRT. It's not that heavy. It's quite light on the back, which is quite good actually, because usually the CRTs here are usually very heavy. It gives it a bit of a Star Wars and sci-fi look about it. So if you played Blade Runner on here, that would look class. Of course, I have the T-shirt on for Street Hawk. Perfectly to watch Street Hawk on. I mean, can you even get a better TV I mean, is there any better TV anywhere than this? You let me know. Have you got one of these? Do you still have one of these from here in the 80s? It'd be interesting to see who still has one, and if they're still loved as much as they are here in the 80s. And here in the 80s, there are various different types of, even though they are CRTs, there's a lot of some cool designs. Maybe that's different in the future if you've got flat glass with images on, or I don't know how it'll be in the future. Are you in 2050? Are you in, you know, 2175? Are you, I don't know what year are you in 2020 odds, I don't know. I wonder what they look like then. But certainly for now, there's lots of different designs. But this, even now here, this is a bold design, and it just looks, it looks so good. So yeah, anything sci-fi, watching through this, they're tremendous. Playing the Nintendo through it, spot on. Master System, why not? And of course, the good old Atari 2600. But even though it's corroded, I am going to try and do something with it and hopefully get it back up and running. It might not be straight away, but eventually this will most likely have a new facelift, and I'll try and see if I can get a helmet. A lot of the helmets for these already here in the 80s are very scratched up. I don't know what people are doing with them, but storing them or whatever. But I guess if one thing lands on the glass, well, the kind of plastic visor, tinted, it'll just scratch easily, and obviously that's there all the time. I'm sure there's different products that you can get to take them out, but I mean, most people probably won't know how to do that. So if you can get a good visor, I think, and maybe swap out the insides for something which isn't damaged inside, then it could be back up and running. But at the minute, I was really pleased to get it. However, obviously with it all corroded, it isn't possible to use it at the moment. However, on an upcoming transmission, we will see what else can be done about the Philips Discoverer TV. But that's for a future transmission, future dude. What a load of 80s goodness that is. And there's even more radness to show you next transmission. I don't know how you get tuned into this, to my frequency, because here in the 80s I didn't think that was possible, but you're here to see some most excellent stuff. If you enjoy the tunes, add them to your playlist, in your car, in your Ferrari, whatever type of car you've got, and blast the tunes out, because they can be passed over through the time walls. So you can add the Nightwolf 1981 tunes to your playlist to be super rad. Stay rad, future dude.